here that I can hit highlights if you want.
I'm just asking.
Mm-hmm.
Get yelled at when I skip stuff.
We'll go easy on you tonight, Chris. But just tonight.
All right. Well, let's get this thing rolling. If he's leaving at 6, we got a lot to cover.
I just like, here he has me coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
He no-shows me.
Oh, no.
You know what? I did no show him because I hit my head so hard I forgot.
He's under
Good thump.
concussion protocol.
Pretty good size one.
He is.
For real?
Yeah.
You are?
What?
Concussion protocol?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris.
They said
What day is it?
Tent, like I
What's your name?
Right. Maybe you shouldn't have a gavel. Oh, boy. Yowzers.
Is Rachel's on here?
Hmm?
Rachel has a report. We got paper.
I probably didn't get in there, but Rachel's here in person.
Yeah, I know, but I was just saying, does she have a report that I can click on?
Oh, no.
Go ahead and throw me under the bus. You louder? They didn't hear you in the gym.
Shit.
We'll call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the February regular board meeting. This is time for public comments on agenda items, interaction with the boards. I don't have any yellow cards. But we will move on to spotlight on education with the American Indian Parent Committee.
I actually have sheets for you guys so that you can, and I'm not going to trip on this.
Rachel, if you pull all our microphones
That
down.
is the original. So
Don't write
spill
on it. Don't write on it. Okay.
Don't spill
Whoa.
anything.
Can you give it to him?
Sign it in the end. He's got to sign it in
Oh,
the
he
end.
can.
Yeah, you'd be better off going around the outside.
Got it. I got it. You wanna come up here?
As best you got.
I'll do it for you.
No, fine. Good. So you guys have a copy of, this is the paperwork that actually has to be submitted to MDE. And you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Eden Bacchus.
Eden is the chair of our parent advisory committee. So what we want to do is just go through this really quickly with you. You can chime in if you want to, or show me over to the side. Basically, what we have to do every year is any school with 10 or more American Indians students has to have a parent advisory committee. We have that committee. Once we have 20 or more students, then we actually get the funding that goes along with it. So we have to put in an application, we have to set goals, and then we have to, as we work through those goals, vote for concurrence or non-concurrence. I don't vote these days.
Those of you who don't know, I have an American Indian child that I have adopted. And so I have an American Indian child in my home, so that I have a vested interest in this entire process. My daughter is 6 at the moment. So she will be growing up with this system that you guys are hoping to that we are hoping that you would allow us to put in place.
How many do we have now? How many do we have?
Right now, we have
We have-
20.
Oh, so we're above the 20 start.
You're above the 20.
Okay.
But that is why you're seeing this year, you didn't see it last year. But last year, our numbers fell below, and we did not have an application, we did not have money. We still met as a committee. We had 3 committee members last year, now we have grown, which is, I'm super excited about. And our committee has to be parents or guardians of American Indian students, community members who are American Indian, and our school faculty or district representation cannot be more than our American Indian representation. So last year we had 3 parents and myself. We could not end up with more representation from the school than we had American Indian representation. So the other thing is this whole committee is the voices of our parents, of our American Indian students. And I am just the go-between. So if it's something that comes up and they're saying, we need this, we need you to talk to, we need you to communicate with, or we need to understand how the curriculum is working, or we need to understand how this is playing out, that's my role. Anything else that is getting done, they are doing. So if you flip to 1, 2, you will see something at the top that says measurable goals. When we set goals for our American Indian funding, there are 6 focus areas, and we have to set a goal in each of these focus areas. So in the chart below, you will see where it says measurable goal and progress toward goal. So what we had to do is we had to say for focus area 1, this is our measurable goal, and the progress that we have towards that goal so far. And then our committee had to say, are we making enough progress towards that specific goal so that we will confidently vote concurrence. So it's broken down, and you will see exactly what we put as our measurable goal when we filled out the application. And you will see what our progress is on each goal. And you will see that our committee actually voted yes on each of those areas. We are making progress, significant progress towards those goals in each of the 6 areas. Do we still have work to do? Yes. Are there some areas that it was made really clear we want to make sure that this goal is carried over to next year? Yes. And so we do have that documented in our notes, in our agendas as we go through and make sure that that is taken care of into the next year. So we know that our work is not done. However, our committee is voting concurrence for this year and recommending that we continue our work. Questions?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say this is a big thank you from me because this committee is the reason why we had Dr. Anton Schreier here. This committee is the reason why we had our drum and dance troupe here this year. And the work that is going to be continuing this year is because of
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Spotlight Education Elementary Multi-Tiered System of Support.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for taking a few moments to let us talk to you a little bit about our MTSS program. I'll introduce our guests and let them take it over from here. They do have a brief PowerPoint presentation as well. I'm going to invite Mrs. Seth and Mrs. Shackle and Ms. Arnold to come up and talk a little bit about what is MTSS, what's their role and responsibility within that program, and then what is our kind of overview of our data looking like right now. So ladies, I'm gonna let you take it over.
You might go stand by the television, because that's kind of where all of our visual information is. We'll just talk kind of loud.
Had it all set up with my visual aids, but can I have that? Get it going where we want to go. That's okay. All right, so we are the elementary title team. In the past, we have kind of split up, like Miss Shackle and Miss Arnold did reading, and I primarily did the math title. Now this year, we're all doing both. So just some statistics we have for you. We service students in kindergarten through 4th grade for both reading and math. We do not work with students who are serviced in reading or math under an IEP. So any of the other kids are part of our population. We work with them on whatever they're needing. We lead small groups ranging from learning their name, to write their name, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s in kindergarten, all the way to 4th grade, fluency, reading comprehension, multiplication, and division. Our groups typically have 3 to 5 children for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Students we've serviced this year. Math, we have serviced 83 students, which is 28% of all students. Math, we have exited 34 students for a variety of reasons. Reading, we have serviced 105 students for 36% of all students. And in reading, we have exited 37 students. Keep in mind, we are not servicing this many at one time. Groups are meant to be fluid. So total so far for this year are those numbers, not all at one time.
Okay, so I'm going to move right here so I can see. So Miss Arnold and I, because we're coming from more of a reading background, our goal through Marzano and everything this year was to get 70% of the population of all non-IEP students who aren't getting special ed for reading. We want 70% of those non-IEP kids to be meeting what's called CBMR, and I'll explain that. But basically, in later years, when kiddos are trying to comprehend all these complex things, it's really hard to comprehend if you're not fluent. So we're working on fluency and working on rate. So CBMR is curriculum-based measures of reading. So basically, the kids are getting timed for a minute, and how accurate are they? How many can they get correct in a minute? So we're working right now, and we're measuring 1st through 4th graders. And some of these kids aren't in a Title I group because they're really close to meeting, and we're just kind of letting them get that intervention in the classroom, and then we're still able to monitor them through the progress monitoring, and I'll explain that too. So it talks about in the fall how many kids were highly prepared, underprepared, and that's measured by FastBridge. FastBridge is an approved screener and progress monitoring tool through the READ Act. So up there we have our stats for fall, and then when you come down to winter, which we just did after Christmas, right now we currently have 66% of our kids who are non-special ed who are already meeting that fluency goal, which is a good rise from fall, and then we're hoping by spring, obviously, that'll be over 70%. So then we broke it down by grade level, which was interesting because I had thought, oh, maybe this grade will have less of a percentage, but then it's nice to look at the numbers and say, oh, that's not exactly what I thought, and what can we do to get that there? So really good data that we got from that January benchmark testing. And this is our progress monitoring. So through the READ Act, any kiddo who doesn't meet in fall, winter, spring, that is flagged on they don't have, an appropriate rate, or they're not reading fluently, they're flagged. And then we have a paraprofessional in the elementary, Jill Ackerman, who every 2 weeks she'll go get that kiddo one-on-one. She's got a computer, she's got a story, and they're timed for a minute to see what their correct words per minute, or you could just call it words per minute, see what that is. And then we can track, is that child making progress? Are they kind of stagnating? Are they going down? And that helps us to kind of make decisions in the intervention setting and say who needs what. So in the fall, there were 92 1st through 4th graders who were at risk right away when school started. Now there's 63 kiddos who are at risk, and they're being progress monitored. So that's a positive that we have 29 kiddos who were at risk in the fall, and then when winter came, they were cleared, like they're where they're supposed to be for their grade level. The next document, I just took our third grade students, and I took their names off. And this is every time they go to read to Jill Ackerman, we get a score, and we can see, okay, is that kid making adequate progress? If they're in a group with us, maybe they're not in a group with us, but they should be. Or maybe they're in a group with us, but it's like, hey, they're meeting a few times in a row. Maybe they could come out of a group and someone else could go in that really needs more support. So this kind of tells a story in itself. And I love watching the numbers because it tells you a lot about what's working and what's not working. And then FastBridge has those scores of like, okay, if they're under this number, they're high risk. The black ones would be some risk, and then the green would be they're currently meeting where they're supposed to be. So once a kiddo meets a few times in a row, we take them off of progress monitoring, but we can always put them back on later too. Yeah.
We focus a lot on tracking student progress and having the kids track their own progress. So that is focusing on Marzano. The element is number 2, which is tracking student progress. This is an example of, this is Mrs. Shackle's kiddos with their reading progress. So these numbers on the bottom, that's what they've read every 2 weeks with Mrs. Ackerman. So you'll see 75, 76, and then the kids color in that many bars. But what's really neat to see, and I just did this with one of my groups today, is you'll see September and then the numbers go up and up. And sometimes they'll fluctuate, like after Christmas, they might go down a little bit. So helping the kids process, well, why did the numbers go up? Why did they go down? And then we set goals with the kids too. With my groups, I said, okay, well, what do you think? Where do you think you're going to read by the end of the year? Do you think you'll read 130 words a minute, 140? So it's really neat for the kids to set their own goals. And that's what's exciting to me, is to really help the kids figure out, well, what's an attainable goal by the end of the year? So that's for reading. And we do something similar in math too. We do rocket math, which is really cool. I love it. I'm new to teaching math this year, absolutely love it. But the kids will, some of my groups are doing multiplication. They started with addition and subtraction. But they'll take these minute-long tests. They'll do a practice, and then they'll take like a minute test. And here you can see, like, okay, they started level T, then U, then B. They keep going up. Once they finish Z, if it's addition, then they go to subtraction. After subtraction, then it's multiplication, and then division. But I found this is so motivational. The kids love it. They love seeing their progress grow up. And also helping them process, too. If they didn't pass a test, it's like, well, what do I have to do to get my score up higher next time? So I just love this element. I love helping the kids track their progress. If you have any questions, our contact information is here. That's mine. That's Mrs. Shackle, and that's Mrs. Suther. So thank you for your time.
Thanks. Any questions?
Are you seeing any themes, like, I don't know, like certain places that kids are struggling, or is it kind of all over the board?
I think we've seen a lot less struggling. We've gotten a lot more consistency in our ELA curriculum over the last few years, and a big celebration this year has been our third graders have phenomenal star reading and star math scores, and it's because they can read.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
even the kiddos that we are working with in third grade, it's like they're not that far behind. They're not 2 years or 3 years behind.
Mm-hmm.
We're maybe working at a grade level below them to get them caught up, but it's not like it was like post-COVID where these gaps are huge. The gaps are a lot smaller, and we're able to identify really specifically what they're missing. So we've had a lot of good curriculum shifts over the last few years that have really helped with closing those gaps.
And because we have like so many different data points we look at with FastBridge and STAR scores and the benchmark, that we can kind of tailor like what intervention we're using to fit the kids' needs. Some are struggling with comp, or some are struggling with fluency. So we can match the appropriate intervention with what they need. So I was going to piggyback with what Mr. Shackle had said too, that there's fewer kids that are like being referred to MTSS and that kind of thing. So the gaps are really closing. That's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the tests are standard at grade level. So if you're reading at 67 words a minute, that kid that's reading 130, kiddo that's reading at 131 is reading that same standard, but they're just reading it faster
Yeah.
through.
Even if you're working a grade level below and your other peer is working at their grade level, they're all reading the same passage. They're all reading a third grade passage, because we really want to see that growth to get them caught up to where they're supposed to be. So then we can compare to. Yeah, that's a really good question.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work.
People from home can then have dance to not be known how to get hold of you. Moving on, need a motion in a second. Second by Carrie, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Approve the minutes for the January 6th reorganization and regular school board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Nikki,
Second.
second by Roger, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
Just wanted to, I know they took off, I want to thank them for the time they put into putting that together. Data-driven decision-making is such an important piece when you look at skills and deficits for kids, because when you target the deficit, you use the data, you're making quicker gains, and they've got a system like I've never seen in an elementary school that I've been a part of. So it's really fun to just see them fired up and excited and talking about scores and data and kids and all that stuff. So a lot of good work going on. So congratulations to them and all the teachers for their extra efforts here as we continue to close the gap. So I'll just highlight my report. I did finish all of my data meetings with all 40 plus certified staff. We talked about their goals that they set for their specific classrooms, as well as their professional goals that are based on the Bob Marzano New Art and Science of Teaching. So very productive, always refreshing, and for me energizing to see the great work that's going on, and to be able to sit down for 15, 20 minutes and really talk about deconstruction with professional educators is just a highlight of my year. So I kind of put some data in my report about that. We've got a lot going on this month with I Love to Read Month. We've got our spelling bee coming up middle of the month as well. So lots of fun things going on as we keep moving forward through the winter. So are there questions you have as you read through the report, or more specifics you'd like from me?
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Chris is not here. Any questions on Chris's report that was submitted? Okay, we're gonna actually skip over director's reports, and I'm gonna go to Jonathan's report, because he's gonna step out here in about 8 minutes for another meeting, so.
And then Tim will be joining me at that meeting, the booster meeting here.
Well, then you better talk fast, because then we gotta get.
And joined me as we attended the Minnesota School Board Association's conference down in cities, and they'll be following up with you on some of the things that they found down there and talk a little bit about it. But again, it was just an excellent conference. It was kind of nice. We all went down there with a little bit more of a purpose, I think, this year. So we got to really have some good conversation with some of the vendors down there and really target some of the breakout sessions. But I will let them talk about that portion. The one thing that I did find interesting out there is that the School Board Association is already reporting that 50% of the state school districts are already reporting that they're going to be going into budget reduction methods. And the only reason I'm sharing that is as we talk about our capital projects levy, and as we talk politically about all the funding that had gone into education, it kind of missed its mark for sustainability and continuous pieces. And that is something that we're going to be continuously talking about through April 8th. But with the operating levy, the reason I'm going to be ducking out of here in a few minutes is that I'll be doing a levy presentation to our Boosters Club. And right now we also have our business manager, Jolene, is speaking with the Bacchus City Council also tonight. And as I shared the levy meeting schedule with you, coming up here in the next week or two, we have chamber after hours here at the school. which is just kind of an open house. It'll be held right here in this room from 5 to 7 on the 6th of February, to where we invite people to come in, mingle with school board members, staff here, to kind of just learn about what's been going on with Pine River Backus schools. Not just the levy, but just the things that have been taking place over the few years. We'll have some hors d'oeuvres. The chamber will be coming and taking a look at things. Jim Lure, our buildings and grounds director, will be taking people on little tours to kind of show what has been going on here with the facility. So be good sessions there, as well as on the 15th, Back to Basics, that will be here on that Saturday. And then we'll be having another presentation with the Pine River Chamber. And Family Fun Night is coming up on March 7th, which we will be at as well. And that is just a big, huge turnout that the elementary has every year. And so I'd encourage you to come on up and have a great time to just mingle with some of our elementary parents. Just some general updates. Also attended the HRS conference down in San Antonio with a group of teachers. They will be doing a big presentation, as they have done with you annually, coming up in March with it. But being my very first time there, the energy and enthusiasm and the knowledge that you get from that conference is just amazing. That I'll put a plug in there, is that there are some school districts that had school board members there. So if you ever want to join us to see what HRS, we always present HRS to you, but to really get that feel and that grasp of what it all is, you almost need to experience it there. And I will stop right here and turn it over to Tim.
I'll keep it pretty short, but just a couple of highlights here of the winter activity season. Mentioned in my report, been a successful season. Girls basketball is currently sitting at 13-6, and they've got 7 games remaining in their regular season before hitting playoffs. Boys basketball is 11-7, and they are with 8 games remaining in their season before the playoffs start. Couple kind of interesting things there. They ended a couple pretty long losing streaks against a couple schools. Crosby Arrington, it was the first time I think we beat them in about 20 years, and Cass Lake Bena had been a while, so pretty neat accomplishments for the boys. For the Road Crew wrestlers, their duels record is currently 10-19. A couple highlights that happened in January. Parker Zutter achieved his 100th career pin and his 200th career victory, which are very impressive feats. And they conclude their regular season at the Albany Purple Pride Invitational on February 7th, and then team sections will start on the 13th of February already. So we're right in the up quick. Boys hockey, they're 14-7 on the season. The girls hockey team is 10-15 on the season. Right now, we don't have any PRB students participating on the varsity or JV programs of those teams. The Revolution Dance team just had their section meet this past weekend at Ricori High School, where they took 11th out of 14 teams in high kick and 12th out of 14 in jazz. One specific thing to make note of is that PRB student Charlie Child was recognized as all-state in high kick, along with 2 Pequot Lake students, Gia Ostrowski and Maddie Kinnan, in kick. So great accomplishment for those individuals. Knowledge Bowl has been very busy with several competitions. The junior high team has had a few meets where they have taken second place in both meets down at CLC and Staples. And the senior high team took a 3rd place finish on January 17th. And they took a 2nd place finish just last week on January 30th at CLC as well. The speech team is been underway with their events, and they attended a speech meet at Pequot Lakes on January 25th and saw a numerous top 6 finishes within their team as well there. And also the robotics team is busy preparing. They are going to be attending a scrimmage at Ashby on February 15th, And then they have their Lake Superior Regional on February 26th through Duluth, through March 1st at the Duluth Entertainment and Convention Center. And besides that, we've been really busy with a bunch of youth basketball tournaments. They've attended tournaments at Pillager, Staples, Nevis, Wadena, and Aiken amongst our 3rd through 4th and 5th and 6th grade boys and girls teams. So nice. Going every which direction. So.
Got to commend you. I went to the boys basketball game where they played Browerville the other night, and I didn't know any of the details. I tried to ask around, but I believe it was a young man with maybe autism that was put in at the end of the game. Sank 2 3-pointers, and our student crowd just went wild cheering him on.
Yeah, Xander did an awesome job.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what his name was. Yeah, I left there. I probably never felt that good leaving the ball game.
Another interesting note about Xander is Xander also helps out as part of our custodial staff here, doing a lot of things during the day. It's just a wonderful, wonderful.
That was pretty positive.
Yeah.
Time.
If you have any other questions, just let me know or feel free to reach out whenever. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
I'm going to excuse myself, so if you ever have any questions at all or anything on anything else that comes up, please give me a call.
Thanks, John.
Cindy, do you have anything?
Nothing additional.
Okay. Joe, you want
So it's fun to hear Tim talk about all the, there's so many things that Pequot is also co-op with, and the activities director of Pequot never gives updates like that. So
Yeah.
you guys are that much better. So community ed-wise, I was thinking, what am I going to talk about tonight? There's always stuff going on, right? But so Emily is, she was on a little vacation for a while, so things were a little bit quieter around our office, but that doesn't mean things stop. They're not standing still. So working with Tim, we are about ready to start releasing our T-ball, baseball, summer programs. Can you believe it? White stuff on the ground, but we're talking summertime. So we'll be opening registration up for those within a couple weeks. And so the idea is really to, Tim is going to kind of take the lead on those things, but now that we have Emily, she's going to help market it and answer questions and help take registration. So I think it'll be a good team effort, and hopefully we get even more kids involved than we've had before. So during the month of February, youth classes that we have coming up, we have a cute little origami animal class. So if you know any kids that really just like to fiddle and stuff like that, Nancy Ryan is the instructor of that, and she does a really great job with kids. She's done a number of community ed classes now around the area, and really has it all figured out. The kids really like her. We also have a Valentine card creation class. You got to celebrate Valentine's Day, right? And a crochet class coming up. So those are some things coming up. Emily is also busy trying, getting ready for the Back to Basics. You heard John talk about it, of course, again, February 15th. And so we will be there along with some of you, I think. And so it should be a really good event for us to communicate with the community members. So adult-wise, we still have our Wednesday night volleyball happening. And we finished a small business series class. It was our number 103. So we started at a 101, we had a 102, and now we're at 103. And so this 103 was really some more advanced, like social media, Facebook type of marketing for businesses. And we had, I want to say, 4 to 5 businesses, local businesses that took advantage of the information that was given. So that was neat to see, because that's what we're all about, is just community growth and improvements. So we have a retirement planning class coming up, a propagation exchange. So if you're a plant girl, I love plants. I grow lots of spider plants and violets and stuff, and that's what this class is. You learn how to do that, and then you do a little swap of your little pieces of plants with other people's, and just kind of fun. And then we have a melt and pour soap class. So we all need soap, right? We all use soap. Anyways, it's just fun. There's you can cut out little stars and put it inside the soap. You can make it glittery. You can make it animal shaped, whatever. So it's good for both kids and adults and for gifts. So let me check my notes. What else do I have? And we're again starting to prepare for spring. We've been communicating with our gardening club and getting the community garden up and rolling again. And so we'll start meetings in March again, a monthly meeting, and then we'll start some activities and events. I think we have a kickoff garden meeting planned for May 3rd or something like that. So that's just right around the corner. We also did a partnership with Pequot on a self-defense class. And there we had 3 Pine River registrations head down to Eagle View for that class. And it was a really great class. The instructor actually came up from Lakeville. And people left the class like, hey, that was really great. Now I feel so much safer if I'm out riding my bike or walking or whatever. So, yeah. Any questions for me?
Do you need us to sign up for certain times for helping out at Back to Basics, or?
I guess stay tuned because I don't
Okay.
know that answer right now.
Okay.
I think in combination with, we'll talk with John and Emily to find out exactly what they have planned. But possibly Carrie, if
Okay.
you think at a certain time of day. I mean,
I'm
we're
open whenever. Yeah, whenever you need me.
okay. We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, if you could send it out to, I know it's coming, but yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely don't want to have a quorum there, but
Yes, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, I'll get some information sent out.
Sounds great.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Rachel?
I think you have mine.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm not gonna go over everything, just a few highlights. HRS updates, as John said, the summit was fantastic. So we will be talking to you about that in about a month, once we can wrap our heads around everything that we learned and bring it down to one point of piece that we wanna share. That's probably the hardest part. I had one of the people who went say to me, Rachel, you told us that it's gonna be a lot and we're gonna be overwhelmed, and I thought you were exaggerating. Until we got together on Thursday and she said, oh my gosh, you weren't exaggerating. So it is a lot of learning and it's a lot of stuff to wrap your head around, and I have heard these people talk multiple times, and every single time I go, I still learn something new. So it's fabulous and wonderful, and I can't wait until we can share with you some of our new learning. Minnesota Student Survey is coming up on February 20th. We do have to send out one more parent reminder. They want us to do 2. And since we had such a massive turnout for our parent informational night, it's probably a good thing. I'm going to send it out via paper this time, just to make sure that we are getting things in people's hands. Because they said, if we don't make sure that we get this in parent hands, they can't actually use our survey. So that will be going out this Thursday to make sure that parents know and understand what is happening with that survey.
Did we do a sign and return on that?
The only thing that they have to sign and return is if they do not want their child to be involved.
Okay.
So as of right now, we have 4. In years past, we've had a longer list. I'm okay if we only have 4. I just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that parents are actually receiving the notification and not just clicking on a message and deleting it without actually reading it. So that's our biggest things that are coming up. Getting ready for CAs, which that's already happening. So, any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Enrollment report looks pretty steady from last month. Holding good. So I mean, up from last year. You know, things are in and out. We expect it gets cold. People go to so it's good things to see that we're kind of staying level. Like I said, in and out, but more than we had last year. So, any questions on that? Moving on to the consent calendar. Need a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Motion by Dave.
Second.
Second by Carrie. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. The policy on naming of the school district sites and facilities. We're having a few people in question. We don't have a policy currently regarding on how if we want to have the library named or we want to have the music room named or whatever. So we've attached a few of the sample policies that we can read and look over. I've received enough phone calls, guys. We got to have something on the paper. It's not fair to administration to leave that hole out there. So please read through these. If you got any questions, reach out for me, myself, or Jonathan with any questions. And I'm sure even Cindy could probably help if we had any discussions on that. But I would like to have something that we can, figure out no later than, by April.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on that? Okay, moving on to 8.1, approve the lease purchase agreement with Standard Bank.
You skipped
So you can skip 7.2.
Oh, my bad. See, I knew I was going to skip something. School Board Association MSBA Conference. Some of that's y'all.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
3 of us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the CTE Foundation Board Role and Student Achievement and Student School Board Member. Carrie, you want to start with some key takeaways?
Sure. Yeah, so those 3 documents, I think, were from some of the sessions that I didn't go to those 3, but I don't know if you guys did, you can talk about them. But the conference was great. It was very motivating. We had two keynote speakers, opening and ending, that you left there just wanting to do all you can for the kids. Like, they just were so motivational, and it just made you feel like, yep, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And one session that Nikki and I went to was about using committees for school boards, and that was really interesting. So it was from Duluth School, and they just talked about the different ways that they use committees in their school board, and it's very nothing we would want to just jump right in, because it's a lot that they do. It's very organized, very official, but they just talked about how they really use different committees to move forward some initiatives with their school board and get things done. So that was a good one, and so it's something we can talk about as we go forward. Maybe if there are different a committee or 2, we can start again, and it's more just to get more in-depth conversations going, get work done that doesn't necessarily happen at a board meeting. So just more kind of involvement on things. So that was really good. But like I said, the whole thing was just so motivating. It really just made you feel like, okay, yep, we're doing good stuff here with being involved in the school board. And so I guess I'll turn it over to you both, or whatever you and
Becky?
I will piggyback. Excuse me. On what Carrie said about the committees. It seemed like, at least the school district that talked about it, like the engagement piece of the school board members was very strong. Like, there was like a level of expertise, I guess, with those committee meetings, which I think is helpful. And you just get to know a little bit more about that subject. And the people in the committees weren't necessarily just school people. Sometimes there were community members, and so it really could look however we would want it to look if we wanted to go that route. So I would love, again to piggyback on that, I would love to have more discussion around what that might look like for us. And if there are certain committees that would be more helpful than others to kind of start with, and would be willing to pull some information for the board if we wanted to look at it together.
Cindy, do we have a copy of all the committees that we used to have? Okay.
Staff, finance, facility, activities, policy,
Yep.
catch the pride.
Yeah, it seemed like there were some specific ones that school boards tend to have. But then there are others too. I mean, community-based or whatever.
One of the reasons that I was on, I've been on when we had the committees and when we don't have. The board was feeling that, well, I didn't get to that committee meeting, so I don't understand. I didn't, so that's kind of why we went away from the committees. So, we could definitely look at, I'm not opposed to opening it back up, but definitely have to have open meeting laws and all the other stuff that goes with it. So, and that's kind of why we went away from, and if there's that opportunity and people want to learn it and dig in more, I think it's a great opportunity. So I'll work with Cindy. We'll pick, I think I even still have notes from some of those in my book. We'll dig them back out and find out, if it's, like I said, policy committee met in the spring, we'd have 15, 16 sessions.
Right.
And
Right.
so it was, you definitely committed.
Yeah.
I was in the session on student school board member, and the whole group that was presenting were kids that were on school boards, student representatives to the school boards in different towns, and so they all brought a lot. They felt like they were bringing the student perspective to the board and kind of helping to break that disconnect. Maybe I think sometimes around here, maybe a lot of students don't even really know who we are, or what we do, or what's our function, or anything like that. So I was really impressed with their leadership in the school, and then they're voted on as a junior, and then are on for 2 years, junior, senior, and then so each year they're bringing new students, and so it was really interesting. And then our breakout, or our keynotes. The one guy, band teacher in Louisiana, actually won a Grammy. And you talk about talented, oh my goodness. And then the other guy was a principal of the year in the United States, and what he's been able to do. And it was his mission to go into rundown schools that all of his family's like, do not go to that school, don't go to that school. And he was taking it on as a challenge. He had a rolling laptop that he went up down the halls with on a skateboard. So I mean, the whole premise was a little different than what we'd seen, but what he's able to achieve was phenomenal. It left us feeling pretty motivated there. So
It's awesome.
very exciting.
Well, thank you for attending, and thank you for bringing back some things that the board can work on. And, as we asked Jonathan to set goals, I mean, these are good goals that we can, definitely look at and reinvigorate the things from the past. Maybe it's time that we step back into it. So thank you. Moving on to approving the lease purchase agreement with Standard Bank. This is part of the district's transportation replacement schedule with 2 buses on order from Hogland Bus Company. One will be purchased outright and the other one will be leased through the bank. Anybody have any questions? If no questions, I need a motion and a second.
Is this typically how we do? I guess I don't know if we've done bus stuff since I've started, so.
I think in the past, we've always purchased them outright, but with the rise in costs of the buses.
Gotcha.
They're like $150,000 now, just to help out with the cash flow purposes. They determined it's best to lease one, just to spread those payments out.
Sure.
We had that conversation when we were doing getting ready to do this levy. We purchased it at $100,000 4 years ago, and now they're, like Cindy said, they're 150. So definitely need there.
Well, it's something you look at, you try it, and if there's something that we're not noticing that we don't get that comes up that we don't like, we've tried this, we've tried the lease, maybe it's something we'll do more, maybe it's something we'll do less, but we don't know until we give this a whirl.
All right.
So move.
Motion by Dave.
I'll second.
Second by Roger. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Is this time for interaction with the board with non-agenda items? Amy, you want to come flying up here and have a discussion? You good? With no other business before the board, he's adjourned. Mm-hmm. Saw that too. Even shut the Cindy, you don't have like, no.
Can I help you?
See you, Aim. Thank you.
Yeah, it has been. It's been good though, really. Going ahead of us. Should be good.